Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to our cozy little corner of the internet. I'm Pen and today I'll be reading chapter 7 of It's Not Love If You Run When It's Hard by Lita Cakes. Just so you know, this chapter has a lot of stuttering in it. As far as I am aware, no trigger warnings. It's a lot of stuttering because I recorded the chapter first before recording the intro and the outro. So yeah, that's the thing. But I do that first so I can tell if there's any trigger warnings that I forgot after I read it, so I don't have to record the intro again afterwards, which is annoying. But anyway, if you want details on why I was away yesterday, just wait to the end of the video or in the description below. I haven't quite decided, but anyway, make sure to stay safe. Thank you for all the support, and I'll see you guys in the fic. Chapter 7. Shota dragged Bakugo by the collar, much to his growing displeasure, into his office of the dorm building. It wasn't much, just a small room with a desk and chairs for private meetings. He closed the door quietly and tossed Bakugo into a chair. The kid immediately stood back up, defiant, but Shota glared at him with his quirk once more, and the teen settled back down into the chair slowly. Your student tenure depends entirely on your actions in the next few minutes, hours, and days. Shota was not going to mince his words. He's seen quite enough already. If you cannot be a commonly decent human being to your classmates, all of them, then UA will have to rescind its acceptance and you'll be blacklisted from all hero schools in the country. Am I understood? You can't do that. Watch me, Shota barked. Watch me, because I know what you did to Izuku Midoriya. I know what scars those hands left on his body. Something in that last sentence unsettled the teen. Did he not know? I've heard all of the slurs in the and all the snide remarks. I know what type of person you are, Katsuki Bakugo. The hero world and UA specifically won't be putting any more bigoted, quirkless bastards on the streets ever again. The teen sunk into his chair when Shota sat himself on the desk in front of him. He was scared. Good. Shota didn't let up for a second. I cannot act upon which I do not have proof of. Your middle school was quite good at destroying the evidence the moment Midoriya left. Believe me, we tried to get it. So that just leaves us to act on the present. Your actions just now have earned you anger management, detention during your second week, and a formal apology to the classmate you just hurt. He attacked me. You aren't going to give him detention? No. Shota brushed some of his hair from his face and sighed. He defended himself against a bully. From here on out, there will be no tolerance for anyone bullying anyone else. Now. He leaned forward. Katsuki leaned back. Do you want to be a hero or not? Katsuki snarled. I'm going to be the best fucking hero you've ever seen. Number 1. Good. Then you're going to have to take compassion and civil discourse extra courses as extra credit until I think you can appropriately interact with him and provide a sincere apology, you're forbidden from speaking to Midoriya. That's so dumb. I didn't even do anything. Are you aware that the word null is a quirk slur? What? It's not quite as bad as some pre-quirk slurs, but pretty damn close. So, that's what earns you the detention. The rest of your punishment is for what I know you did to that boy, and you won't admit it was wrong. Everyone you've ever known has told you that you're destined for greatness and that everyone else under you was under your boot. The kid continued to growl. Shota activated his quirk again. In this school, you're under my boot. You're not destined for anything. You earn your keep here, and right now you're already failing. So I suggest you start paying the fuck attention. What your teachers told you was wrong. Everyone has value. Every single person on this planet has the right to exist, to their existence. And every student, quirk or not, has a right to be the chance to be a hero, if they have the skills and brains for it. Bakugo looked highly conflicted. Shredder expected that. He'd been told all his life that quirkless people were worthless, that they lacked value and rights. But Shredder wouldn't stand for this shit in his class. He wouldn't stand for it from anyone anymore. He'd burn the quirkless shit out of every hero and every hero student, if only Nezu gave him a damn torch. Do you know what you did? His voice was softer and he backed off a little. Can you even admit to yourself how much you harmed someone you used to call your friend? Bakugo flicked his eyes to the ground. We just kicked him around, but when he tried too hard, he's supposed to be weak. You put scars on that boy's body. You use your quirk on him regularly. You abuse him, call him horrible words, and you push him to ledges I cannot even begin to explain. You might be far from the only one who did it, but you're the one who wants to be a pro hero. So, Shredder tapped his hand on the desk as he continued to debate whether he should expel Bakugo right then and there. Can you do it? Do what? Can you learn from your mistakes? Can you change? Can you be a hero that saves and protects everyone, not just quirked people? The teen, to his credit, actually thought through about Shredder's words. He imagined Bakugo was likely having some great inner battle with himself over everything he'd just been taught. Everything he'd been taught was right, and everything Shredder was just threw in his face. But Shredder was the gatekeeper to his future, so even if he couldn't change right away, he'd have to agree if he wanted even the slimmest chance of achieving his dreams. Yeah. Bakugo looked up, fire in his eyes. I can fucking do it. Shredder smirked. Maybe Midoriya was right to tell me not to expel you. Maybe his faith in you isn't misplaced. Bakugo once again spread his eyes in shock. I would suggest you don't waste his faith in you, nor the one chance I'm giving you. One chance, Bakugo. That's it. You fuck up even once and you're out. Clear? Yes, Sensei. Go unpack and remember what I said. The teen nodded and scurried out of the office at a jog. Shredder deflated into a chair. A knock came from the office door and Shredder found Osamu looking rigid and worried. They both knew this would happen, but they were stuck between a rock and a hard place with how society still viewed the quirkless people. Crimes against them weren't criminal, and Shredder couldn't do more than he'd done about Bakugo's past. Hopefully scaring him straight would be enough. So, as long as he never learnt his past crimes weren't technically punishable for lack of proof, the school's rules would protect Izuku for now. But unless the whole system changed, there would be nothing to guarantee that kid from becoming as bad as Endeavor once he graduated. Do you really think this will work out, Shredder? I don't know, he groaned, but I'm not giving up just yet. He'll never understand what Izuku has been through. He'll never know what it means to be He'll never know what it means to us that Izuku can be the first, that there is a first. Schroeder tried to smile at Osamu. They'd become friends over the last few months, and he appreciated the man's candor. I know, but we can't deny him the chance to learn. If he's unwilling, then he'll face the consequences. Right now, I just want to make sure there's a peaceful start to our school year. Osamu chuckled softly. You're off to a good start. I'm going to check on Izuku, then head out. Hizashi's almost done checking students in. Hitoshi is helping him. Thank you for everything, Osamu. No, thank you. You're changing the world for one boy. You should hear all the things the community has to say about you. All good, I promise. Schroeder shook his head. Right, thanks. He did not want to face Izuku after that encounter, but he knew he should do so later. They would need to have a conversation. Izuku needed therapy badly, but Schroeder hadn't quite figured out how to approach the subject. He could ask Osamu to bring it up, but the Quirk's mentor was like a therapist in a way, and he wasn't going to put a boot onto that kind of trust. Maybe Hizashi has some ideas. Izuku came out of his room after Osamu left. They had a short conversation, and ultimately Izuku was fine. His nerves were wrecked, but he was okay. Actually, he was far better than what he assumed he would be after seeing Katsuki again. But a large part of that is from the support he had. Friends, teachers, and even his self-defense skills all played a part in his ability to face his abuser and win. That's what rocked Izuku to his core. He won. He didn't cower and allow himself to be cursed and injured this time. He put an end to it, and that felt good. The common room was full as he walked back out. Izuku finally got a look at all his classmates at once. What an interesting mix they were. Izuku already had plans to give them each a notebook and an in-depth analysis. He was going to tear their quirks apart from the inside out and rebuild them back up as heroes. Nezu had asked him to do that and gave him permission to do so, despite Schroeder's attempts to keep them both from world domination. Maybe he could convince his new teacher to go ham on the class. Katsuki was sitting off to the side, chatting with a redhead who had shark teeth and similarly spiky hair to the blonde. Said blonde only glanced up once Izuku walked in, but didn't otherwise acknowledge him. The three students who had been present for Izuku and Katsuki's reintroductions, Mina, Ina, and Yayorozu, were all looking at him curiously. It wasn't a malice kind of curious. It just was. Izuku wondered if they had all heard Izuku was quirkless, and they wondered what was going on or why he was here. Hitoshi was standing behind the couch, so Izuku joined him, tucked a arm over his shoulder and whispered in his ear. How did those three take the news? Better than the angry Pomeranian. Izuku snorted and kissed Hitoshi on the temple. His boyfriend tucked his head into Izuku's shoulder, and they turned back to the conversation at hand. How are you two a couple on day one? The girl who asked was short. She had green hair and what appeared to be a frog-like quirk. She even made a ribbit sound after her words. Izuku rubbed the back of his head. Toshi and I have been dating for almost 6 months. Oh, I apologize. It's rude for me to assume you just met. It's fine, Sue. Izuku, this is Suyu. She likes to be called Sue. Got it. Thanks, Toshi. Nice to meet you, Sue. You can call me Izuku. The girl nodded. So, Mina threw her hands up to get Izuku's attention. Is it true? She sounded conspiratorial. Are you actually, Izuku rolled his eyes. Yeah, it was going to come out eventually, Might as well get it over with on the first day, right? They had the right to ask questions at least after what they witnessed earlier. Yeah, I'm Quirkless. Several gasps sounded from the gathered students. Izuku really hoped Shota would come out and give them their orientation soon. He did not want to field 1,000 questions all afternoon. Wait, you're... Oh, that was Chago. But you two saved my life in the entrance exam. They what? Karski bit his tongue and looked away. Yeah, the 0-pointer was coming directly at me. I was trapped underneath the rubble and I couldn't move. But they just ran in and got that concrete off me. It was wild. Izuku used his crazy strength. I saw you had a power quirk. No, that was Toshi's quirk. Actually, sort of. He motioned for Hitoshi to explain. I can brainwash people, so I made Izuku forget about his natural limitations. It's like, you know how they say you can biting off a finger is as easy as biting into a carrot, but your brain stops you? A few of the teams nodded. I basically turned off that part of his brain. It is a form of hysterical strength, like you'd see in emergencies when adrenaline is running high. That's so cool. You guys really work well as a team. Ochaku offered her hand out, and Izuku happily high-fived her. She tilted her head at the jingling from under his sleeve. Izuku tucked back his arm over Toshi's shoulder and ignored her questioning glance. He fiddled with the pin on his collar and looked back around the room. Karski was staring at him, but Izuku found that his eyes weren't full of hate or malice. For once, they were full of wonder and maybe just a hint of nostalgia. Blessedly, their teacher saved him from answering more questions. The perpetually exhausted hero walked in with a clipboard held loosely in hand and a frown on his face. Alright, Hellspawn, listen up. Everyone sat or stood at attention. Everyone straight backs and open ears. From here on out, you're under my care, which also means you're subject to my rules. I only have 3. I will not repeat them, but I expect you to follow them for 3 years. The 3 years you're here with me. Understood? Yes, Sensei. The whole room chorused. Good. Rule 1. You are a class. You are a team. Act like it. Work together, behave, and treat each other like the way you want to be treated. The school, and myself in particular, have a zero tolerance for bullying. First offense is detention for a week, and the second offense is expulsion. Got it? Got it. Rule number 2. Keep your rooms tidy. Keep the gyms tidy. And you keep each other accountable for your actions on campus. He sighed. Rule number 3, and this is the most important. If I am sleeping, do not disturb me unless it's an emergency. The man paused for an effect. Izuku had to hold back a grin because he knew what was coming next. Addendum. If you see me sleeping in the view of the class, assume I can hear and see everything. You are not going to get away with whatever plot just ran through your head. He may have shot a pointed glance at Izuku, but the teen ignored it by looking up at the ceiling. Understood, Sensei. Shota rubbed his temples as he went on. You're all free to explore campus today. Tomorrow, classes start at 7 a.m. sharp. First half of the day is academic courses. After lunch each day you'll have fundamental heroics and hero training. Tomorrow during foundational heroics you'll be given a quirk and physical fitness assessment and ranked based off your score. He turned to leave with the clipboard tucked underneath his arm. Oh, and the person who comes in last will be expelled. That's all. The teacher left as the room erupted into questions and fears. Izuku and Hitoshi knew Shota was giving them a bold-faced lie, but they weren't going to tell anyone that. They'd put up with Shota's hellish training routine as a crash course for the past 6 weeks. It was great and horrible all at once. Their teacher knew what he was doing and he did not pull his punches much, even with his students. This ruse was more of a test to see if they'd work together and support each other regardless of the disguise of a competition. Izuku and Hitoshi had no issues working together, but they didn't know any of these students well enough yet to trust them. So it would still be a challenge for them as well. I don't know about you idiots, but I'm getting first place, Mo, Katsuki proclaimed. Izuku rolled his eyes. That's not fair, Baku, bro. I think we've all got a good chance to succeed. Izuku had yet to catch the redhead's name, but he seemed like a nice enough guy. Izuku also appreciated the nickname he gave Katsuki. Whatever. What do you think the quirk... How do I do this voice? What do you think the quirk assessment will be? Yayorozu asked. Oh, perhaps we should go around in the room and introduce ourselves. That's an excellent idea. Then we can discuss the assessment. Yeah, assessment. Ida made choppy hand motions at that. Izuku assumed there was a side effect of his not only rigid upbringing as a powerful hero family, but also his quirk. So they went around the room and introduced themselves. Izuku mentally took down the names of each student, as well as anything they shared. Most of them said their quirks along with their name. When it got to Izuku, he shrugged after his name and said he specialized in hand-to-hand quirkless combat. That seemed to confuse a lot of the students until he said, "You know, like our teacher, Eraserhead." He was a little more than annoyed that they couldn't seem to grasp even the smallest reality outside of quirks, as if nothing could exist without the presence of a quirk attached. At least none of them seemed to be ready to pick on Izuku like Katsuki had. There were looks, of course. A few students looked at Izuku like he was fragile, like they didn't understand how he got into the hero course. He'd proved them wrong too. The class spread out after that. A couple of small groups went to explore the campus together, while the rest stayed in their dorms to unpack. Izuku was in a sort of no man's land. He already familiarized himself with the campus over the past 2 months, and his room was already mostly unpacked. Hitoshi went to unpack and get settled in, which left Izuku in the lounge by him around the couch in the common room, mostly by himself. Well, that was until Shota Todoroki sat down across from him. They were alone in the common room for now, and the jewel-haired teen didn't seem to be excited to be here. Izuku was aware that he was one of the recommendation students, but he'd really hoped the son of Endeavor might be actually thrilled to become a hero. Wait, Todoroki-kun? Izuku opened his mouth to speak, sucked in a breath, and closed it again. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea to ask about his scar before even getting to know him. Nothing, never mind. It's nice to meet you. Are you really Quirkless? The question was so sudden that it threw Izuku for a bit of a loop. Of course, he had been asked a few times today, but Todoroki was so blunt. Izuku offered a shrug. Yeah, never developed. I also have the extra toe joint, so it's not likely a latent thing. I see. Did he? Izuku wasn't sure. The other teen's tone was about as sure as Izuku felt being around 18 teenagers who were all physically more powerful than he was. Okay, it's okay if you have questions. I'm a fairly open book about it. That must have been what Todoroki needed to hear because he perked up a little. What does it feel like? Sorry, what? Izuku had never been asked that before. No one had asked what it was like to be quirkless. Izuku didn't even know what that meant. What it felt like to have no power, what it felt like to be in the minority, what it felt like to lack something society deemed integral to being human. There were far too many ways to unpack that question. Oh, sorry, what I meant, what is it like to just exist without the pressure of being better and faster and stronger than everyone? What's it like to just live? Izuku blinked a few times, speechless. He had assumed Endeavor had put a huge amount of responsibility and pressure on his son's shoulders, but he had not assumed that it was enough to make this poor boy think that Izuku had a better life than he did. That wasn't fair. Pain was relative, so were the cards dealt to you in life. Izuku tried not to judge others. Still, I don't know. I've never just existed before. It's always been living from one moment of pain to the next, grief after another. I don't have the pleasure of being better or faster or stronger, but I grew up wishing I didn't have the pressure of being better, faster or stronger, but I grew up wishing only to have the right to exist in the first place. What a weird way to get emotionally into a deep emotional conversation in the middle of the common room dorm at 2 p.m. Izuku was not expecting this on day one. Oh. Todoroki looked at the floor between his feet. I'm sorry, I never met a quirkless person before. I didn't know what it was like. It's shit, but Izuku threw his head back and sighed towards the ceiling. It doesn't mean that doesn't mean I have it worse than you. I'm sure Endeavor puts the world on the shoulders for yours. But though you've probably not been at 5 funerals in a year before. That's pretty singular to the Quirkless community. 5? Yeah, last year was bad. Really bad. 3 hate crimes and 2 suicides in 12 months. So far this year we've had 4. I think we'll end up beating our record. That's horrible. That's what it feels like. Izuku clicked his tongue. He picked up a few bad habits over the years, and suddenly he was craving a cigarette, something he hadn't done in probably 8 months. He took a deep breath and sighed again. What does it feel like growing up being the son of a top 5 hero? Shoto didn't answer for a while. Izuku thought he maybe didn't hear the question. The common room was quiet otherwise, but they could hear the sound of students outside greeting each other and laughing as they got settled into their first day of UA. What a wild ride this was going to be. When Shoto's voice finally did come, it was quiet but bitter toned and whispered through grit teeth. It burns. Izuku finally looked down from the ceiling as Shoto pulled his eyes up from the floor. They stared at each other for a while, looking over every visible scar on the other's body. While there was a familiarity between them, This might be the first time they met, but they both know the burn of a quirk being used on their skin, and the way a fist felt in their gut or to their face. Shoto nodded once and stood up to leave without another word. He didn't speak much during class introductions either. There was a story there. Izuku could almost smell it. But he wouldn't ask. It wasn't his place to judge Shoto's situation. He did, however, judge Endeavor harshly. Whatever this man did to his son wasn't heroic. There were a few things Izuku could do about that, not all of which were legal. Most were morally grey, which Nezu would likely approve of. No one else would, though. Uh-oh. Hitoshi flopped on the couch beside him. I know that look. What look? What look? The I'm going to destroy someone with my intelligence look. Who's the victim this time? I'm not gonna... Oh, don't bullshit me, Zoo. 2 weeks ago, you were up to 3 a.m. filing on a random notebook you'd found in my drawer because you gotta be in our damn bonnet about death harms on the news. Okay, that's not fair. He just about strangled a villain to death. He needs to learn restraint. And he needs a less villainous name. Hitoshi sighed. Izuku, what happened? Todoroki, he asked me of all things what it was like to be quirkless. What did that mean? I think he wanted to know what it was like to live without the pressure of being number one. I wondered if Kachan had ever asked himself that. Izuku chewed at the inside of his cheek for a moment. Anyway, we talked for a bit and I think we bonded over our scars. I'll leave it up to you to make friends like that. So you're gonna rip apart Endeavor? Oh, I already have. Hitoshi looked shocked. Yeah, he's in Notebook 87, one of my most recent. I was debating on morally grey retaliation. If Shota didn't mind seeing Endeavor being humiliated, that is. You know, I'm really glad you got accepted. Why do you sound so suspicious, Toshi? You scare me, and you know that? Like, I know you said that the UA entrance exam was your last resort, but I keep forgetting just how lucky we are that you didn't decide to get revenge. I still could, Izuku shrugged. I had a pretty good argument for taking my rage out on All Might. There's a story there. Hitoshi kicked his feet up on the table and leaned backwards. Right as he did, Shota appeared from behind them and flicked Hitoshi's nose. Why are we revenge killing All Might? The man asked. Not that I disagree, but I want to know why. I didn't say kill Shota, Izuku pouted. Well, I need to know. I know you know I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. Izuku rolled his eyes. He rescued me from some sludge villain that was trying to turn me into a skin suit. Then he told me to my face that I need more realistic dreams of them being a quirkless hero, and there were plenty of paths for my kind. Shota visibly winced and grumbled something to himself under his breath, which Izuku missed. The tired hero began pacing in front of the couch and eventually sat down on the coffee table in front of them. He had the palm of his heel pressed to his left eye. All Might is set to be this year... Wow, fuck English. All Might is said to be this year's incoming hero students, to mentor this year's incoming hero students, i.e. Class A and Class B. What? Izuku stood up, his hands grabbing at his hair before he can stop himself. Why the hell would Nezu do that? He's not a teacher. Breathe. Izuku, breathe. I know that. Believe me. I was very vocal about my disagreement, but the Hero Commission forced Nezu's hand under threat. He made it very clear that All Might would not be teaching, he would be mentoring, assisting. That's it. I'm not going to treat him like he's some... Shota, are you serious? Izuku. Hitoshi stood up and grabbed his hand. He was trying to calm Izuku, but Izuku didn't want to be calm right now. He'd only spoken about the attack once, and he could still feel that sludge trying to force itself down his throat like a living thing. He felt disgusting. He desperately needed a shower, or to force his finger down his throat. Stop it, Izuku growled. No, please let him finish speaking. Why? What the hell could he say to make this better, Toshi? I don't know, but getting upset won't help. I'm not going to stand here. Izuku pulled at his arm, but Toshi wouldn't let go. He wasn't gripping Izuku hard, but Izuku wasn't really trying to get away either. He's quirkless. He'll single me out or try to get me expelled. He threw me in a damn wall and just left me like that, violated by that fucking sludge creep. Maybe we should go to your room. Let me go. Izuku yanked his arm back. Hitoshi's hand slipped, which rattled every band along his wrist. Emi's band, the only one loose enough to be removed, flipped off his wrist and flew across the room. It rolled across the carpet and landed right in front of Katsuki's left boot. The whole room was silent. Izuku realized they weren't alone anymore. It wasn't just Katsuki. A few of their classmates had come downstairs, likely to check the commotion. But it was Katsuki who stood a few feet from the sitting area, near the kitchen. Izuku hugged his arm to his chest. Toshi looked away, ashamed and apologetic of what he just did. What broke the silence was Katsuki bending down to pick up the bracelet, the little red bracelet, and inspect the kanji inscribed on the side. Red-hot anger boiled Izuku's stomach. No correct person had ever touched his bands without permission. Toshi had earned that right, and he knew that touching them was an assurance or a comfort, was an intimate action not generally done outside of relationships, or a mentor reminding their mentee that they weren't alone. Izuku marched over and snatched the red metal bracelet from Katsuki's hand before he could do so much as glance at it. "That's not for thorns to touch," Izuku snapped. Izuku, Shredder put himself between them. "What did I say earlier? Zero tolerance. Detention." Izuku glared at the ground, still clutching the band against his chest. Even if Shredder and Hitoshi were the only two people who would know what he'd said was a slur, he shouldn't have used it. He just wasn't in the right state of mind. He feared losing Emi's band The fear of losing Emi's band had burned him worse than Katsuki's quirk. He slipped the band back over his wrist and bowed his head. He needed a shower, right now, or he was going to shatter on the floor in front of everyone. "I apologize, Kachan. Please don't touch them without asking." Okay, everyone, that was Chapter 7 of It's Not Love If You Run When It's Hard by Lita Cakes. I hope you all enjoyed this. It's a great fic, and I've read a couple of chapters ahead. I'm up to Chapter 9 now, halfway through Chapter 9. And it's really good. That was Chapter 7 of 15. A little under halfway there. It's a really great book, and if you enjoyed me reading this, I do have the link to the fic in the description below. Give it some love, give it some kudos, give it some comments. Just appreciate this art, because I do not give it justice. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!